All right. Okay. So next week, well, so this has to be turned in the last week, right? Uh,
Next week,
oh, next week?
a
Is it
week from Saturday, so a week and 3 days.
um,
Is this our last one?
So I hope so. Since this is week 12, I sure hope so.
so,
We have organized labor, layoffs, and dismissing employees in workplace and society. An introduction and a and
and a conclusion or
conclusion. The key issue,
okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, someone have a preference of what they want to?
I'll do layoffs.
You'll do what?
I'll do layoffs this week.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what were the other three?
Yeah.
Organized labor, layoffs, and dismissing employees, and workplace and society.
Oh no.
Let's see.
Workplace and what?
Workplace and society.
Society.
Gosh.
Yeah, Matt Lauer needs to learn a little bit about how to get along in his workplace and society. Not a good job.
I'll do workplace and society in the workplace.
Okay. And you said organized labor. I could do that one.
How do you guys feel about me editing the paper again?
If you want to do it, I'm good with that.
I think you do a good job, Mindy.
All right, I'm happy to do it. I don't know who I told. I generally put like 6 or 7 hours into it. The 2 times it's really, but I feel like it does what we need it to do. Come from one voice, So basically, I kind of go in and I don't rewrite it. But if you've ever taken what you've written and compared it to what I've done, you can see that there's, many changes. So if you guys are okay with that, I think as a team, I think we can pull off that A again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nikki, what would you like to do?
I can do the introduction. Did that get taken? What's left?
It did not.
I don't care.
So just so you know, Rachel emailed us and she will not be joining us tonight.
Okay. So that leaves Rachel with the key issue. Do we have an idea of which one of those 3 we want to have as our key issue?
Let's do layoffs and dismissing employees.
I agree.
Layoffs, okay.
What do you think, Eric?
I could care less. I really doesn't matter. I mean, I think that's probably the biggest issue for this doohickey, I would say, is layoffs and dismissing employees. Sorry, I can't type and talk at the same time.
Because that encompasses, it encompasses training, it encompasses performance evaluations, promotions. I mean, it can encompass all of that because if all those steps are followed, then maybe you don't get to the dismissing, but they have to do it correctly to avoid a lawsuit. I would think that out of the 3, that would kind of be it.
Okay. And Brandon, are you fine with, I know last time working with Heather, she put her stuff together, sent it to me, and then I was able to do the rest of the key issues. Are you good to work with Rachel on that?
Yeah, that's fine with me. I can get it done this weekend and send it to her.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. I'll Let me save this here real quick, this Word doc that I was typing in. So I don't lose
And then
it.
just the sooner the better, you guys, for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, let's get this done so we can
Is
get it.
like, Mindy, is Thursday a good day, or do you want it sooner than that?
You know what? I can take it in pieces and just start rewriting and reorganizing it in pieces.
Okay.
Thursday would be like the outside if possible. But,
Okay.
you know, earlier the better because I can get started on it.
Just so you know, the doohickey submission box says December 13th is when it's due. So that's 2 weeks from today. That's 2 Wednesdays from now, if that makes you feel any better.
Okay, so wait, we're here on week 12. Next week, 4 through 8 is week 13.
Yeah, and on week
So
13,
what you're saying is
says-
instead of it due the 9th, we actually have until the Wednesday. Yeah, and see, with that week being finals, you guys, if you know, I really would like to try to push that through on the 9th, try to get that submitted on the 9th. If there's any way you guys can pull it together, that's what I'd like to do. Because I don't know about you guys, but I've got several tests that last week. Like we have a big project in this class that last week for
Yeah.
our final.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. I mean, my goal is to try to get as much as I can done next week anyway, so that works for me.
So
Okay.
you want it by when, Mindy?
I'd like to have it by a week from tomorrow if possible.
And tell me that date. Sorry, Dean. That is
That would be the 7th.
7th. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We good and clear on that then? Doohickey? Ready to move on? All right. So this week, they want us to start off talking what is breach of implied contract? Does anyone know a definition of that?
I would say in the context of the two tough calls, I would say that the implied contract was if you're being told you're doing well, if you're on a track for promotions, if you're, you know, getting good performance reviews, the implied contract is that your employment will continue.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts on that? Okay, that's right. It gives an example. For example, you could a 3-strike policy that says they have to give you notice before firing. What about? I don't want to go through all of these. What about violation of public policy? No one knows what that is. It says terminating an employee for refusing to commit an unlawful act, such as serving on jury duty, blowing the whistle, violating workers' comp, or refusing to date one's boss. And then they talk about discrimination, which we've already gone over that previous weeks, and then breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing. Does anyone know what that is?
Yeah, that one stuck out to me. That was interesting. It's kind of like they're cutting corners, like they move somebody from their position or they fire them right before they'd get like their bonus or something. So they're trying to kind of weasel out of what they already agreed to do.
Yeah, I had a boss in Las Vegas when I lived in Las Vegas. He had worked for Hilton for 20 some odd years. I think He had 25 years until he retired, and at like 24 and a half years, they let him go, so they didn't have to give him
Oh my gosh.
stuff. So he came to work for our company after that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get on with talking about Terry and Phil. So what impact does, let's talk about Terry first, have on the company's bottom line?
It's taking up space.
Yeah, not only is he taking up space and not doing anything, but it's counterproductive because so many other people have to stop what they're doing to help him out. So it's actually causing a negative in the production.
Yeah, it seems to cost more to keep Terry around than what he's bringing in, what he's adding to the mix.
Well, and he was because he was not trained in anything. He doesn't have any type of specialties, and essentially he got tossed into her group because they didn't know where else to put him. And so she's just kind of has this floating weak link that she even doesn't know what to do with it, but because he's so highly connected with the CEOs, he's kind of untouchable.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, what about Phil? What impacts does Phil have on the company's bottom line?
I think anytime there's someone there that doesn't work as hard as others, significantly, not as hard as others, I think it brings morale down, and people are going to look at them and go, wait a minute, why should they be here, or why should I work hard, or whatever. I think it's going to have fallout with everybody that's around them.
And I also think he just didn't have the right skill set for that team. Like, he wasn't in the right position within the company. Like, he was a great customer service manager?
Mm-hmm. Call center
manager. But that wouldn't help him tech-wise at all. So he has skills, just not the skills her team needs. So that'd be kind of like a weak link. They'd always have to find something for him to do that could contribute. It's kind of dead weight almost.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was interesting at the bottom of the second question. It says Terry makes no contributions, so all of his salary and benefits are pure cost. In a company that is only making $300,000 a year. And then it says Phil seems to be less of a financial liability. I mean, $300,000 a year, that's hardly anything. Does anybody remember how many employees was on this lady's team?
14 people.
How many?
14.
She was lead over 3, I think, and then the group was 14.
Yeah, I mean, geez, that is. Yeah, I guarantee you, all those salaries are a lot more than $300,000 a year. Anyways, that kind of stood out to me. All right, let's see. So what we've learned about employment and at-will exceptions, what legal obligations could the manager have towards Terry or Phil? Or are there any?
What legal obligations did you say?
Correct.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there is. It seems like they can cut these two people out without legal problems.
Other thoughts?
I kind of wondered about Phil at the end because he was gone for, was he on disability or he was just out sick for so long that since they didn't let him go before he got sick and he comes back, and if they fire him, he might think it's disability discrimination.
Okay.
But didn't she say, because maybe I'm, thinking of what my own thoughts were. Because did she say that was kind of one of her concerns, is that he was coming, like, back when he was sick? But he's actually been there for a bit since, hasn't he?
I've read the second half. I don't know if anybody else has or not, if they've gone ahead. So I don't want to give away too much because I know what happens at the end. So I can't remember how long.
Okay, at the end, she says, when Phil came back, he was cured, he looked okay, and didn't have any functional disability. In training, I learned the things you couldn't fire someone for. Phil was over 40, and I couldn't fire him for his age, but I don't remember ever being told you can't fire someone because they've been sick a lot.
I think they'd have a problem with that one. The problem with Phil is that if they didn't start some kind of discipline or something before he was sick, now firing him is going to be it'd be very easy for him to prove that they were discriminating against him.
Yeah.
Because he was sick, whether they are or not, because they didn't do anything before he was sick. Now they really are kind of stuck.
Well, and thinking too about the whole, am I echoing?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
I am.
Not to me.
About the whole morale thing. I mean, the whole team has gathered around him and helped support him. It would be hard to get rid of him now. If they fired him now and everybody's supporting him, even though they know he's not the hardest worker, they may have forgotten about that by now through all of his sicknesses that he's gone through. So if they just up and fire him, the morale of the team could be down for a while.
Yeah, that's a good point. They went to the hospital and they donated their sick pay into a pool for him to use. That definitely would have an impact, I think.
Oh. All right. I thought it talks about possibly discrimination against Terry because of his age. I thought that was kind of funny because what was he, just in his 40s? I guess with the other team, with the rest of the team being so young, it makes him really old to them. But yeah, I kind of laughed at that.
That's not very old.
No, it's not. Okay.
The other thing too, Eric, is that this woman who hires all young people, now if she does fire him, he could also say, yes, she's firing me because of my age, because look at everybody she hires. She's already discriminating against anybody that's older because she only likes the young people.
Yeah.
Plus he has a bad comb over and he can't get a date also. All right.
Thanks, Rheta.
Let's see. So, how well is the company in the case doing with its HR practices?
Oh, they're doing lousy.
Yeah, they seem kind of iffy.
And why is that?
Look at how they hired Terry. Everybody voted no, and yet they said, oh, let's bring him on board. That's a problem.
Yeah, it almost seems like there isn't much of a HR presence. It seems like the employees or the managers kind of handle it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think because the company got big so fast, it sounds like, yeah, they were growing really fast, that I don't think they took the time to really develop an HR policy or terms or whatever.
Okay.
Well, and the paper also talks about how, the girl manager person, she talks about how because of the games like managers play, they've lost a lot of like productivity and that HR also like encourages it because they're like, oh, don't praise too much, don't criticize too much. So they're just kind of this like, let's just keep a happy medium. Like, you know, we're afraid of offending people, you know, if you criticize too much or if you, you know, so they're not very supportive of running a company effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Correct. What do you guys think of the PIP? What is the PIP?
Oh, that thing is stupid.
Yes, that was their evaluation, right? And I can't remember if it was every 3 months or 6 months, and it was on a scale of like 2 to 5 or something, and a 2.5 meant that they better hurry up and get better, or they were going to get laid off or something like that.
Well, it's like their PIP program is just a program. Just give us a chance to find half a reason to fire you, and you're out of here.
Yeah.
But the employee thinks that the whole point of it is to help them improve and progress. So it's dumb.
Yeah, and they definitely didn't seem like this company's into helping employees improve and progress. This was just an easy way to get rid of employees if they didn't like them.
Yeah.
So Eric, do we get to find out what company this is? Does it tell us at the end which company it is?
I don't ever remember it telling
So
what company it was.
Hmm. Too bad.
No, I don't. Has anybody else read it?
I haven't read that. I started reading the B part, and then I thought, no,
no, it doesn't.
cheater.
Yeah, it
No,
doesn't.
we're not supposed to read that.
Either. You want to take?
He's supposed to give us a chance to read it.
Oh,
I read that part.
Oh, that's fine. All right. Let's see here. Let's answer. What message will firing or not firing Terry send to other employees?
that they can stick around as long as they have a good connection. Doesn't matter their performance.
Yep. If the CEO likes you, you're in.
Yeah.
Okay. And for those who have not read the next section, what, or if you have a different suggestion, what are some alternatives to firing Terry?
Put him in a different position. Put him in an office position. Let him be an admin. Let him be in the call center. Yes, the call center.
All right. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the part 2. Do you want me to just tell what happened here?
Up to you.
Or do you guys want to take a few minutes and read it? Who's all read it? Nikki, you read it. Heather, you read it.
I've read like the first couple paragraphs.
And Brandon's read it. Okay, so let's just talk about it, and if I miss any points, you guys step in and fill them in. Okay, so Terry, so before the performance review, she sat him down and she wanted to tell him that she was giving him a 2.5. He was kind of shocked. He thought for sure he would at least get a 3.0, but he knew he wouldn't get a 3.5. She talked about how many superstars there were on the team, and he acknowledged this. He knows how great the team is. She kind of said a few things like, well, I wouldn't want to be on the team where I'm the weakest link. He basically told him it's being here at this company is not good for his career. Let's see. So she also told him that she was not going to give him a PIP. she doesn't think highly of those. And you mentioned, she gave an example of someone else that received a PIP that was fired, and how he only had 30 minutes to get his stuff and get out of the office. And she didn't think that Terry should be treated that way. So he basically knew he wasn't going to have a job for very long. So she said, I don't know, I want you to try and find another job in the office somewhere else. Let's give you, let's say, 3 months. He couldn't find another job in the office because every time the other people, or the people that was thinking about hiring him, would go to people on the team, and they would give them a negative review about him. So anyways, he decided to go back to doing stuff with scuba. They threw him a big party, and he eventually ended up getting another job in somewhere else.
Engineering, it says.
Engineering, there you go.
And he was quickly promoted then to be a manager because it was just right up his alley.
Yep. So that's how that went. And then Phil, when Phil was gone, when he was sick, they actually filled his position. And when he came back, they just created another slot for him. Phil wasn't a problem, except she had to manage him. He'd been there for a long time, never been promoted. He gave him 3.0 on his reviews. He decided to leave the soft goods team, and he moved to the international team. He kept getting 3.0s on his reviews, and then a year later he passed away from cancer. And so that's what happened to Phil.
I think it's IKEA.
Is it?
I don't know. Or Overstock. I don't know. Sounds good, right?
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, I thought of Overstock when I started reading this. So
That's funny.
All right. So what do we think that the manager did well in this situation?
I think she handled both cases very well. I think she did that great with Terry. I mean, he left voluntarily, and, you know, but probably very few people at the company actually knew what was going on. He had the chance to find another position for 3 months. He didn't, and he, you know, left on good terms and without, you know, being able to hold his head high. And I think with Phil, they did the right thing too, moving him over to a international team where nobody wanted to be anyway. You know, he still had a spot. They didn't fire him and let him, you know, ride out his term as well. I think it was a win-win, kind of.
Okay.
You know, as far as getting fired. So.
yeah, I agree with Mindy. I think she handled both situations better than I would have guessed, especially Terry, because he ended up at a better job, one that was more suited for him. And she even says that he considers me a friend and they keep in touch. So you know that she had a positive effect on him, even though she had to be like, hey, you're just not cutting it. So she obviously did it in a great way.
Yeah, I think I liked that she was honest and tried to be respectful and not drag him through a painful, embarrassing process just because he wasn't exceeding on that team. Doesn't mean he didn't deserve respect. So I like that she was respectful and tried to help him, give him an opportunity, and then ended up somewhere better. I thought that was good.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Brendan.
I agree with everyone, with what everybody said. I think she handled it really well. We talked about, or the lesson talked about being able to be honest and upfront and direct, but also having compassion, and how that's a kind of a tough balance. And I think she did pretty well on that. I also think I remember a talk from Elder Bednar that talked about how when we need to discipline someone or be upfront with someone or confront someone, if we don't do it and it needs to happen, it's actually a sign of selfishness because you don't want that person to think badly of you or whatever it is. But if a correction needs to be made, it's just always stuck with me. It's selfish to not do it.
That's a good thought. Was that on that video broadcast we had to watch? And was that for this class?
Yeah, it's the same one.
Geez, that seemed like forever ago. We watched that. Yeah, that's a great point.
I remember the line, you either change the man or you change the man. Does that sound familiar to you guys? Or was that from something else I heard at work? Do you remember that? Okay, so, and it was from one of the 12 in these whatever that we get at work. So they say you either change the man or you change the man. So basically you either help the person to change and fit into their role, or you eventually have to, get somebody else in who can. So it was Bednar Oaks or someone.
Gotcha. I have to think that Terry kind of felt guilty for being there anyways. You're there because of a friend that's high up and probably getting paid a decent salary, and he knows that he's not at everybody else's level. I'm sure he was probably a little relieved to go somewhere else, at least guilt. Maybe not. Maybe he may have been a type of person that didn't care and likes that kind of stuff, but I don't think that most people would feel comfortable in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
All right. Anything, I guess, to close this up? Anybody think that she did anything that wasn't effective? That they didn't like how she handled it?
No, I think she was pretty spot on.
Okay. What can we learn from this case about making decisions about termination?
That firing is not necessarily the right choice.
Okay.
So I remember something that I learned back in the communications class, and that has really stuck with me, and that is that conflict, it can be good. Conflict does not have to be contentious. And so I think that she did a very good job at handling huge conflicts without being contentious.
And I agree. And I actually think it helps because in the paper, she says it multiple times, that she's a blunt manager. Like, she doesn't dance around. She's very straight. She will compliment you and she will criticize you probably in the same breath. And I think her having that mindset and her employees or the people that she's over knowing that that's how she is, that it actually made it easier for her to be upfront with Terry, because it wasn't, I'm sure he didn't think of it as a direct attack, like, oh, she hates me, so she's being this mean. No, that's just who she was, and she wasn't going to dance around it. And so I think that part of her personality actually helped her in the situation with both Phil and Terry.
For sure. For sure. Okay. Anybody have any last thoughts on this?
Nikki's tired. And Heather, they're both tired. That was awesome.
Sorry.
Derek, I think you need to be leader from here on out. It's 8:40.
Yeah, look at 8:40.
Yeah, good job.
Hey, when you went to bed at 2 a.m., I'm dragging.
Oh. Okay. Well, if anybody thinks we need to go for another 20 minutes, we can.
Please. No.
Okay. All right.
See me yawn more frequently.
Well,
Hey, you guys, since I'm not going to be there next week, I just want to tell you all how much I've enjoyed this. I mean, You know, as far as group meetings, which are none of our favorites, I mean, like seriously, all of us would rather bypass this, but for being what it is, you guys have been awesome. I've really, really enjoyed it every week. And thank you so much for making it such a great experience for me. We have been great together as a group. We have just been really, really great.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I will say that throughout the whole semester, I brag about our group and how awesome we are.
Yeah, I have too.
Projects.
I have too.
I'm like, that's the most awesome group. So,
Yeah. I appreciate you guys letting me join your group. Our group was fine, the three of us, but it made it hard to do that first doohickey. Even though we did get a better grade than you guys.
Oh.
Did you really? Did you get an A on your first paper?
Yeah, we did.
It's okay, Mindy. It's okay.
So did you. You got an A minus. That's an A.
There's no reason why you had to tell us that. You could have just kept that to yourself, Eric. Oh.
Okay.
That's
All
awesome.
right. Well, I guess with that in closing, I'll stop the broadcast.